2005 to 2008 was a critical time in our unit's history. Never before had our unit experienced such sweeping and radical change. The Happy Hooligans not only made the best of the situation, but they exceeded expectations. There is no better place to begin this journey than with the BRAC hearings that set the stage for where we are as a wing today.
The governor told me that he wanted Grand Forks, Minot, and Fargo to all remain open. That's the goal. So we had our work cut out for us because, quite frankly, the Air Force was very close to closing the Air Guard in Fargo and Grand Forks Air Force Base. We teamed up to try and get Grand Forks, Minot, and Fargo military affairs committees. The governor established a military task force, community leaders, chambers of commerce, and various groups from each one of those communities to come together to support each other.
A commission was set up by congressional law to produce an objective, nonpartisan review and analysis of military bases that should be closed or realigned.
Versus active guard units.
They were talking about two things: losing the fighters in Fargo and losing the tankers in Grand Forks. And of course, being on the border, the focus of the BRAC commissioners was, well, how do we defend the border if we lose the tankers and lose the fighters?
How long would it take jet fighters to get here from Idaho or Wisconsin or wherever that might be?
The question is probably not how long it would take to get here, but what could they do once they get here? Well, they'd be out of gas, and without the tankers from Grand Forks, what good?
Thank you very much.
The strategy was, how do they complement each other and how do we keep them all open?
Many of us are very concerned about what's happening to the Air Guard. And my own state of Nevada, we lose all our flying assets too. And I think that we'll take that into consideration. And I think the Happy Hooligans, I personally would like to make them happy. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner.
The BRAC ultimately dictated that we would put 200 people in Grand Forks and that the Fargo unit would stay open. And we ended up having to still do a mission on our own. We still had to find it and make agreements, and the governor had to work, and the congressional delegation. We had to work with the Secretary of the Air Force ultimately, and Air Force leadership, and the Guard Bureau leadership. And quite frankly, General Blum, Lieutenant General Blum really took a hard line with the Air Force, and he really deserves credit for taking a stance and, you know, drawing a line in the sand and saying, you're not going to cross over that. That's your side, this is my side. I'm going to deal with where I put equipment. You give it to the Guard, I'll put it around. And no one had told the Air Force that before.
Standing tall amongst change was, is, and will continue to be our mantra. This motto was evident when we celebrated our 60 years of existence on January 16, 2007.
I am extremely pleased to proclaim today, January 16, 2007, as Happy Hooligans Day in the great state of North Dakota. Way to go, Hooligans!
January 2007 was the beginning of a whole new era for the North Dakota Air National Guard. We stood down the alert mission at Langley Air Force Base in Virginia.
In September of 1953, the runway alert program began with the F-51 Mustang. The first deployed alert to Seymour Johnson. The first to go on nuclear alert. They stood alert for drug runners in Panama, bears in Iceland, and MiGs in Germany.
Oh, thank you. Mike Bobcat. Hunters for active air defense scramble. Scramble 2. F-101s, immediate scramble.
I'm Major General William S. Harrell, commander of the 24th NORAD region. The Fargo National Guard is one of the finest units in ADC, if not the finest, and they stand alert 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days out of the year.
I
cannot imagine another story that is more about heroics and heart and about one family's brave choice to give the gift of life, literally. It was 20 years ago that a baby boy desperately needed a heart transplant, and as the hours got more critical, the parents of another baby boy lost their son. They made the brave choice to donate their son's heart, an infant, to another infant so that he could live. There are big issues, though, trying to get that vital organ from North Dakota to California in time to save 5-month-old Andrew de la Pena's life. They only had 4 hours, but against the odds and the clock, proof that hard work, dedication, and a heart resulted in a real-life miracle. And with me now, heart recipient Andrew de la Pena. He's now 20 years old. And the fighter pilot who saved the day, Colonel Bob Becklin of the North Dakota National Guard. It's so good to see both of you, and it's so good to reunite you. What an incredible story you share. You got the call in the middle of the night. The governor actually had to approve the flight because there was a Learjet that had come to get the heart. They had an engine problem. And you suited up, and in the middle of the night you flew. And tell me what happened when your co-pilot tried to board the flight as well with that cooler that held the heart that could save Andrew's life.
Sure, glad to do it again. That was 1986, and in those years we had fighters on alert in Fargo, the F-4 Phantom we flew then. And that night, just like I said, the Learjet's engine wouldn't start, and we were called upon by the governor, as the National Guard of the United States gets to do whatever he needs us to do. And yeah, a surgical team showed up with a cooler and wanted me to take it to Salt Lake City, where another Learjet from Stanford was to meet me. But in the course of working out the flight plans and the clearances and that kind of stuff, it was pretty clear that there's no way we could safely put the cooler with Andrew's heart in it in the back seat safely with the weapon systems operator. So made the decision to get the backseater out of there and just strap the cooler in by itself, and for me to fly solo down to Salt Lake City.
The history of the 119th Fighter Wing Detachment 1 began on 1 October 1989, when the 119th Fighter Wing responsibility for maintaining an air defense alert posture transitioned from home station to that of a detachment at Kingsley Field in Klamath Falls, Oregon. Upon force restructuring during 1994, Detachment 1 moved to March Air Force Base in California. Further force structure changes resulted in Det 1 continuing to maintain an air defense alert posture at its present location at Langley Air Force Base in Virginia.
This week's events have witnessed events in this country that for many of us represent our worst nightmare. As the commander of your Happy Hooligans, I can assure you that everything is being done to make sure that our force is operationally capable to accomplish our assigned mission. Our mission requires that we prepare our force to ensure that air defense and sovereignty of U.S. airspace is maintained. To that end, we have fighters on immediate alert, both here at Fargo as well as on the East Coast.
Today, I want to express our nation's gratitude to the Air Guard's 119th Fighter Wing, whose F-16s defended the skies over Washington that morning. In a time of great peril and uncertainty, you were America's first line of defense. We'll never forget it.
The 119th Wing also saw the last F-16 depart in 2007, ending a legacy of flying fighter aircraft, a mission that we'd had since our conception in 1947.
Gentlemen, it's step time.
I was kind of notified that in January of, 2007, I guess, that the last 3 aircraft were leaving Fargo. So I thought it'd be neat to, being a flight line guy all my life, to park one of the last jets. So we kind of tried to line something up with AMARC, which is the boneyard there, to come in there and you know, parking of a jet. When somebody asks where you're from, you always say the 119th Fighter Wing, and leaving out fighter, you know, it's kind of like, you know, it's just not right.
This led to the repeat of the saying, out with the old, in with the new. As we saw with other aircraft before, from the P-51 to the F-16, we witnessed the arrival of the C-21.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Craig Schrader. I'm part of the newly formed 177th Airlift Squadron based here in Fargo. We fly the C-21. We could be tasked from time to time with air ambulance service or some light cargo hauling. Also, we'll probably be flying target aircraft for some fighter units around the country.
This will serve as a bridge to our anticipated mission of flying the joint cargo aircraft, the C-27J, in approximately 2010. We also began flying the MQ-1 Predator, leading the Air National Guard into the Unmanned Aerial Systems mission.
Now that the dust has settled, the bases have been spared and will be realigned instead. The proposal includes the introduction of unmanned aerial vehicles to Grand Forks and a partnership with Fargo's Happy Hooligans to fly them.
It's a high-flying, nearly silent Sentinel. Its primary uses are for intelligence, reconnaissance, and surveillance. But make no mistake, it's called a Predator, and it can strike with deadly consequences.
I think this is a perfect asset for the type of stuff we're doing today, for the global war on terrorism.
It's got a great future.
This is the wave of the future, and I'm glad it's starting now, and the Air Force and the Guard is really hopping on board.
Also in 2007, a vision and goal spanning 10 years, 3 adjutants general, 4 wing commanders, and 4 state command chiefs came to fruition.
I'm the third of the 3 adjutants general who have been involved in this effort, and it gives me great pride to be part of this celebration and monumental occasion.
It's been an evolving thing since the very early 90s.
We were talking about the support of the missile wing and the missile field up there through security by flying helicopters from the Army Guard instead of the Air Force flying helicopters around Minot Air Force Base.
I became involved back when General Burke was the adjutant general. They called us and said they wanted us to look at the possibility of an Air Guard unit at Minot working in the missile fields.
So we tied the two together, and we went to NORAD with the idea.
General Burke proposed it to us as a way to help Space Command get to 100% manning and cut costs. And we get a mission that's very relevant to today's world.
First thing we ran into, which was really the big nut to crack, was what they used to call HRP, Human Reliability Program, the ability of Guard members to stand nuclear alert or to be responsible for a nuclear mission.
The major role I got to play in the stand-up of the 219th was choosing the commander. We picked Lieutenant Colonel Tad Schauer to command that unit up there. With his leadership style, his experience, his background, it was really a pretty easy decision on my part. Tad jumped right into it and has done a phenomenal job since.
And the neat thing for the Air Force in all of this is the retention. And it's the professionalism that comes and stays engaged in that mission.
This success didn't come without planning, flexibility, and sacrifice. The Happy Hooligans have always taken care of the people who take care of the mission.
In 2006, when we were first informed that there was going to be this transformation, we assumed we would have UAVs and C-130s as a bridge mission to the Joint Cargo Aircraft. Shortly thereafter, the decision was made that we would be receiving C-21s. So when we received our manning document, there were positions, a lot less positions on that manning document. We saw an increase in AGR manpower due to the UAV and also the Security Forces Squadron.
We had that new mission come in, the 219th, so the Security Forces out of Minot. So we did change our recruiting efforts from this side of the state to the western side of the state and kind of infiltrate their towns and have the Air Guard show up to places we generally didn't recruit towards.
A new home, a new mission. The Happy Hooligans are the new team in town. A team of warriors, trained, tested, and equipped. There's a new team in town. You could be one of them. Join the North Dakota Air Guard, the new team in town.
10 months ago, shortly after the 119th said goodbye to the F-16, 76 full-time maintenance personnel found out they would be losing their jobs. There wouldn't be enough work as the unit shifted largely from maintenance to operations. Well, today the effort continues to find a job for those considered to be displaced, if not here in Fargo, somewhere else.
There was a lot of the guys that I worked with that are still here and searching. You know, they're hoping that the right job comes up for them, and they pass through every day, and I feel for them. It's got to be difficult.
Despite a new airframe, Mike Ricks's responsibilities as crew chief within the 119th have stayed the same, and he feels very fortunate. Scott Hoff traded his wrenches for a computer desk, jumping on an opening in finances within the 119th. Not every one of the displaced hooligans knows what they're going to do. Staff Sergeant Jeff Jacobson is hoping to catch on with the Predator mission.
And we wanted everybody to know we're working with them. We want them to know they have first dibs at any jobs that may come open. And especially with the UAVs that came open, they were always, first chance was to unit members that needed to retrain.
We were able to actually officially assist in cross-training over 200 of our members into their valid places on the manning document, allowing them to start their training process.
Great change can also bring great opportunities. The mission will always come first, but the reason for its success will always be our #1 asset, our people.
Retention is not a problem in North Dakota in either the Army or the Air. The only retention problem I have is after 30 years I want to get rid of some of these people to make room for the younger ones, and I can't. They want to stay.